Hello and good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or good evening, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome to this very special webinar on the positive impact rating, and it's all about using the positive impact rating as a tool for change. We have some great presentations upcoming from three of our schools who took part last year, and really looking forward to finding out both how they achieved their positive impact rating and what they've done to really use that information. First of all, just like to introduce myself. My name is John Watt, and I'm the Positive Impact Rating Outreach and Marketing Manager. So probably most of you in the room today will have heard from me at some point by email or other communication means. So hopefully it's nice to put a face to the name. A couple of things in terms of housekeeping before we start the webinar properly. So if you're in the room and you're not speaking, it'll be great if you could mute yourself, just in case of any background noise. Zoom is very useful, but also can be a tool where people are obviously all have own control of their own noise. During the presentations, we'll have chances for questions just after potentially, but also in the dedicated question and answer session. But if you have any questions at any point for the speakers, do add them in the chat, and I will be able to take note of them, and we can use them during the open question and answer session. Finally, the session is being recorded, so we'll be able to share this with others who are not able to attend today at a later stage on the Positive Impact Rating website and YouTube channel. So do just bear that in mind if you are asking questions or speaking. I'll just move forward here. So the agenda for today, you'll see here then there'll be a short introduction from myself. And then I'm very happy to introduce our speakers. First of all, we'll be having Professor Wayne Visser of Antwerp Management School. And Antwerp was one of our transforming schools last year. So he's going to give some insights into how Antwerp is doing this and what their future plans are to continue as a transforming school. Then I'm also really happy to have Ingrid Campi. She's the Vice President of Oikos Barcelona, and she's going to give a really interesting student perspective on how they use the positive impact rating as a launchpad for sustainable change in Esade Business School. And then last but not least, we have Jean-Christophe Carteron, who's the Director of Corporate Social Responsibility at KEDGE Business School. And they've been doing some really interesting work on using the positive impact rating as a strategic planning and monitoring tool. So delighted to have Jean-Christophe here as well to give us some insights there from KEDGE. Then there'll be a chance afterwards for just general panel discussion. So a chance for you as the audience to be able to ask our speakers questions, and also ask any of the positive impact rating team as well. I'm lucky enough to be joined today by my colleagues at the Positive Impact Rating, Thomas Dillick, who sits on the supervisory board and was one of the founders of the PIR, and Autumn, who's also the student coordinator for the Positive Impact Rating. So I have some backup today from my team. First of all, before we go into our speakers, I just wanted to give everyone just a reminder, or particularly for those who are maybe not initiated in the positive impact rating, what it's about. So just a very quick reminder that obviously we're trying to contribute as a lever of transformation in the business school landscape. We do this by defining the positive impact of schools in a way that helps to move from competition to collaboration, getting away from the ranking sort of mindset and more towards rating and reflecting on what the school is doing in terms of its impacts. We hope by capturing the student voice, then we're providing a new tool for change for the schools in a way that has not been done so before. Also, just a reminder about the actual model for assessment. So it's the student survey provides the chance for that student voice to be heard in three broad areas. The first is energizing, so looking at how the school is sort of walking the talk around its strategy, its governance, and its culture. The second is around educating, so really looking at what the school is providing in terms of programs, curricula, and other aspects of its education in terms of helping the students to become future responsible leaders. And then the third is engaging, so around how the school is acting as a responsible citizen in its own locality as well as globally. For those who haven't registered yet, the 2021 edition is open for registration until the 1st of December. So broadly speaking, we require two things. One is an engaged student association to take on the survey. And the second is the participation agreement and fee by the school. Just as a point of note, for those again who haven't registered yet, the positive impact rating, we've switched to a fee-based model this year. This is to allow us to be self-sustaining as a rating and to continue into the future and without relying on donations and other sort of philanthropic means. But we do remain a not-for-profit organization, and really the fee is just completely reinvested in the running and the operation of the rating. For those who are interested, you can get in touch with me at the end of the presentations, and I can provide more information. And just very quickly for me as well, before we move on, just the timeline. So as I say, we're open for registrations just now until the 1st of December. These events are happening just now around the pre-launch, including this one in November, are ongoing. We have another webinar next week for the students to be able to understand how the survey works and give them some assistance. And then from the 1st of December until the 26th of February, the survey is available for students to be able to run their campaigns on their own campuses. This will be supported by the team here. And then once the surveys are closed and the results are analysed, we have a nice plan to launch the results at the World Economic Forum, which takes place in May next year in Lucerne. So we have a nice global platform for those results to be transmitted to the world. So we're really looking forward to that. So as I mentioned, we have excellent presentations coming up today, so I'm not going to speak too much longer about the nitty-gritty of the impact rating, but I'm going to now transfer across to Professor Wayne Visser, who's going to give us an insight into what makes a transforming school. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Professor Visser, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, John. Great pleasure to be with you all today. And you can just confirm you're seeing my screen okay? Yep. Well, first I must say that as a school, we're really delighted with the positive impact rating. It's an issue we've been engaged on for a number of years, because if we don't change how we measure and incentivize performance, then clearly we're not going to change also the impact that we have. So I wanted to just give you a quick insight into what we've been doing or how we see this at Antwerp Management School. Unfortunately, I'll have to step out after the presentation because we have the AGM of the GRLI going on right now, and I'm on the board, but it may be that our Managing Director, Ilse Delman, who's here, might be able to take some questions, or we're happy also afterwards to contact us online. So firstly, the first step, I suppose, or lesson is to get networked. And we spent a number of years doing this. One of the things we established just in the last few years is the Antwerp Partnership for Sustainability. So that's a partnership with the University of Antwerp, which is a kind of sister organization to us, the Port of Antwerp, the Province of Antwerp, and we're discussing with the City of Antwerp to get in, as well as BASF in Antwerp. So we're creating a kind of network or nexus of partners in our very local zone to advance sustainability and to try to collaborate. But of course, there are many other organizations out there doing great work in this area. So a few years ago, we took on the responsibility of chairing the France and Benelux chapter of the PRME, and been active in that. I've mentioned the Globally Responsible Leadership Initiative that we're also active in. The Shift, of course, for Belgium, the main sustainability organization. The SDG Forum, which is an annual event that we've been partnering on delivering each year together with the SDG Barometer, an annual survey. And the SDSN Belgium, which is basically the initiative of Jeffrey Sachs, and we've been active in that as well. So recognizing that you're part of an ecosystem of organizations that are already active, I think is one of the very first things to do. The second thing is get mission driven with integrated delivery. And so what I mean by this is we're fortunate at Antwerp Management School where we have a very clear mission, and there are 3 pillars to that mission, including global perspectives leading to ingenuity, self-awareness leading to cooperation, and societal consciousness leading to sustainability. In fact, it's one of the reasons that I took up the chair a couple of years ago, moving from Cambridge University to Antwerp, was because of this very strong mission-driven sense that you get from the organization. What we've done in the last few years now is go further than just have that mission and have sustainability on the agenda to integrating those 3 pillars of the mission into what we call the Global Leadership Skills program, which is a course that is now mandatory for all full-time master's students. And there is lots of synergies between these 3 areas as well. So integration into teaching becomes absolutely essential, not only on the full-time masters, we're integrating now into the executive MBA and also into the executive PhD. One of our early lessons really was to try to make this also a bottom-up movement from the students to empower the students. And we very early on set up the SDG Ambassador program, where the students had to come up with a project where they make an impact on one or more of the SDGs. We've had several events where we've invited the Queen Matilda of Belgium to also come and speak to the students and interact. And this makes it much more powerful and also for the leadership of AMS to know that this is a student demanded initiative. This project now, it used to be voluntary, now it's part of the Global Leadership Skills course, and they have to, we call it the Action Learning Project that they have to deliver. So integrating into the core, of course, it's not just teaching, but also in research. This is now a theme that's very strongly integrated into many of our research proposals and research delivery. The third is to get connected with strategic partners. So my chair was set up now just over 3 years ago in partnership with BASF, the Port of Antwerp and Randstad, that's Chair in Sustainable Transformation. And they become our working partners. It's not just that they support the chair, but we deliver on the ground with them. And they're very much an action orientation. We've just recently set up another chair with Lars Moratis and Frans Melissen, which is the chair in management education for sustainability. And that one is actually supported by around 20 companies. So this is one of the ways that we make an impact, is to make sure that we're connected to the market in a very strategic way. And then we work with these companies to deliver impact, listening to what it is that they also need to advance sustainability in practice. Another way that we've done this, it's actually part of my chair, is to set up sustainable transformation leadership groups. And we have one on the circular economy and one on the well-being economy. So the circular economy includes companies like BASF, Port of Antwerp, Brussels Airport and Docks. And the well-being economy includes AXA, Janssen, Randstad and the Energy Lab. And for each one, we come out with an action. So we have a circular economy commitment that we've created as a group from the first one, and that's something that we will be inviting companies to sign up to, or any organizations, could be universities as well. And then that's something that we will monitor and work with those companies on an annual basis. They'll become part of a learning network where they'll be able to go deeper on the issues and support each other, but also there'll be a transparent mechanism where we make sure that companies are not just signing something and then forgetting about it. Similarly, for the well-being economy, we've come up with the good work goals, a set of commitments around really looking after employees, especially at this time during COVID-19. And we'll be inviting companies to sign up to that one as well. Anyone interested, of course, just get in touch and we'll send you more information on those. The most important point of this is that it's, again, action-oriented. We want to make an impact in the market, bringing what we're good at, which is research, facilitation, knowledge, but then also making sure it's relevant for the market. Then we get thinking with new perspectives. We are, of course, academics, and academics live at least, I won't say what percentage, but live a lot in their heads. So we do come up with what we hope is leading edge thinking. This is just reflecting some of my work around integrated value, where we're trying to frame the sustainable development challenges, the breakdowns and the breakthroughs in a slightly more holistic and integrated way, and make it an innovation agenda. And we also have a 7-step implementation model, which we call integrated value management. And we work with companies like Johnson & Johnson over a 3-year period to actually implement these steps. So bringing the thought leadership, but again, looking always for ways to apply it. That's the point here as well. Get practical with applied tools. So it's no good stopping with fancy models. We always try to convert that into something that can be used by the market. In this case, we have a sustainable transformation index, which covers both those 5 areas of breakdown and breakthrough and the 7 steps. And I'm just illustrating here. So we then work with companies to get the employees to fill these in, and they get a kind of rating on how important they perceive some of these things, how personally prepared they feel to deal with it, and how well they think the organization is doing. And this becomes something valuable for the company. Similarly, we've worked with Randstad to develop a future resilience index, and that's looking at 10 dimensions of multi-level resilience. So this is resilience at the level of the individual, the organization, and society and the environment. And again, this is now a tool available for companies to work with their employees to check how resilient they are. Again, couldn't really be more relevant than today during COVID times. And then we think it's important to get inclusive with stakeholder involvement. And so we've done a stakeholder consultation exercise and also come up with the typical stakeholder materiality matrix, so that we know what it is that the various stakeholder groups think are important. Of course, the biggest stakeholders for us are the students and of course the staff, and this just shows some of their priorities mapped up. We've also worked with the Sustainable Development Goals to map the relative importance of those, and that gives us an action agenda, strategic priorities to focus on after listening to our stakeholders. And then we think it's important to get transparent with performance reporting. And so we have a sustainability progress report. This is really telling what we've done in terms of mapping our impact, having that dialogue with stakeholders and developing a long-term strategy. And for us, we've divided those areas of impact and measurement into knowledge, human and environmental. And you can see they map against the SDGs, but also those tables that you can't read because they're too small. Those are the sets of KPIs that we've now set for ourselves so that we're tracking our performance. I must say that included in this is it's important to also be ambitious. And one of the things I'm especially proud of is AMS is committed to net zero carbon by 2030. So 20 years ahead of the global Paris Climate Agreement. And there's a lot of work to do to get there, but the fact that we show that leadership, I think, is really important. So that's where I will end my sharing, and hope that you found that interesting.
Thank you very much, Professor Visser. Really interesting to see how you've been aligning, well, what you do aligns well with the positive impact rating in terms of the energizing of the school, in terms of your own strategy and culture, and really strong in terms of what you aim to achieve. The education part with the mandatory leadership skills program, and then the engaging part with obviously with engaging with different societal stakeholders. Really interesting to see, and makes sense, I guess, now why you scored well in the impact rating last year. Does anybody have any questions? For maybe you have time for one before you go. Would that be okay?
Sure, no problem.
I think Thomas is raising his hand, so I'll let you lead.
Thanks a lot, Wayne. Very interesting presentation and comprehensive program. What role do the students play in all of this? Is it top down and bottom up, or how does it work?
Well, that's what I tried to communicate. I mean, through the action learning project that they do, and through the global leadership skills course that they do, they're very much telling us what the priorities are. They're actively involved. We also consult them as stakeholders, and we map what they think is important. We run at the beginning and at the end of the year the Sully test, which should be one that you're familiar with as well, so that we get also an idea of whether things are changing for them. We of course support them. Many of them choose this for their not only their action learning projects, but their larger consulting projects that they need to do. So yeah, we get a real feeling that it's bottom up. We also encourage them. We obviously give some interventions as sustainability professors in the courses. But one of the things we try to do with that is to ask them to be asking critical questions of all the other professors. So when they're doing marketing or they're doing finance, that they should be the ones really be the activists and the ones pushing our faculty to make sure that we're really walking the talk and integrating into all the subjects.
Great. Thanks very much again, Professor Visser. And I know you have to go, so we won't keep you any longer, but we really appreciate your time today. And thanks for such a fantastic presentation.
Thank you so much.
So I'm happy to move on now to get the student perspective on the positive impact rating as a tool. I'm really delighted to have Ingrid Campi, who's the Vice President of Oikos Barcelona, to present on how the Esade Business School in Barcelona has used the PIR alongside the students. So Ingrid, I'm happy to pass the floor to you and allow you to share your screen. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Can you see it? Perfect. So good afternoon. My name is Ingrid Campi, and as John has already said, I'm the Vice President of Oikos Barcelona. So I'm here to explain how Esade, we use the positive impact rating as the leverage of change. But I just want to make clear that I won't give any magical recipe that will guarantee your success. It doesn't exist the method or the clear solution for every business school. There's many types of business schools, and therefore the main message that I want to transmit here is that you have to adapt yourself to your business school and try to design the approach that will be more suitable for your institution. So I just want to give you a quick insight of what we have done. So the first time that we learned and we heard about curricular change was in the Future Lab in 2019. It was a huge event organized by Oikos International, and I had the opportunity to be there. And also it was there our former president, Arthur, and he was the main person leading this initiative. And when we heard it, it was like, oh my God, we have to implement this in our business school because it's totally necessary. And we actually believe that there's a deep concern about like sustainability among students. So we believe that that would be our next target for Oikos Barcelona. So when we returned to Barcelona after this event, we got in touch with the Esade staff and also the dean. So we started transmitting our message, what we've learned. We hold like many meetings trying to just like let them know what this curricular change initiative is about, and just like to try to convince them to implement the positive impact grading. And indeed we achieved it. And again, this was basically a result of like constant communication and just like telling them that the positive impact rating is going to influence in a positive way the school. So it's basically a way to give voice to the students, and therefore there could be not like any damage. It's just kind of a survey. So we basically implemented it. Then the next step that we did, and that's, well, basically probably why you're here. So how did we use the positive impact rating to foster curricular transformation? Well, the first step that we took was to communicate the results. We hold like 3 presentations with the dean of, because in Esade we have like different programs. There's business, there's like the business school, but also there's the law school. So we did many meetings with the different responsibles for that, for these programs. And more importantly, we shared and we transmitted what can be done. So I would recommend just don't simply state, okay, these are the results, just like, okay, what can be done with this, with these concerns, what are the steps? And here is where we introduced and, well, we reinforced and we repeated again the idea of curricular change. And well, what's going on right now in Esade? So this year, Esade is going to implement the so-called sustainability plan, which was approved by the Esade Executive Committee in June 2020. And to do so, like to implement the sustainability plan, they have kind of a specific action plan, which consists of different stages and transversal activities, such as staff training or internal and external participatory assessment process. There's also like a joint redefinition of our future, just in terms of curricula, and always focusing on sustainability. So in this huge process, which is going to last some years, because it's basically trying to change Esade's vision, always in the light of sustainability, the role that we're gonna play in Oikos Barcelona is, well, we are part of the main task force, and in which they're gonna do a curricular review. So each teacher is gonna kind of have just a curricular review of the different subjects. And Oikos Barcelona is very delighted to be able to be part of this process. So as you might have seen, the idea is to go step by step. Don't just go to the school and say, you have to change this, I don't know, why don't we learn about circular economy? So you have to try to do a slow process so that they get the full message and they don't get overwhelmed. So very quickly, which were the results? Well, we got a total participation of 156 students. This is a quite low number. Actually, we were a little bit disappointed, but the amount of participation that you will get will not determine the success you will have. Indeed, I think that we can say that in terms of curricular change, Esade is taking big steps despite having this low participation. So the idea, as I said, is just try also to communicate them what can be done, and therefore they will listen to them because they are actually interested in it. So as you can see, the Esade is not in a very good position. I mean, of course, we are among the top 30 schools that participated, but we are just in level 3 progressing, which is basically that we kind of incorporate sustainability in some areas, like can be more related to curricula or just like more operations. But yeah, there's not a complete vision, a main vision of sustainability. Okay, so I just want to end with some recommendations that I think that might be very useful for you. First off, try to build your narrative. So as I have already said, transmit to your business school what curricular changes, and also this disconnect that exists between the needs of the future and the education of today. So one of the main things that I believe that made them see that they needed to do this change is that curricular change is not something that we made up. It's an initiative that, well, basically an outburst activity that is taking place around the world. So make sure to transmit this. And also that there's a concern among stakeholders, so students that want to have their education, which is like more suitable for the needs of the future, but also investors and many other agents that are interested in this possible transformation. And last, don't forget to mention that it's gonna increase the prestige of the institution. So basically, they're gonna, is a way to improve their name through a rating and not a ranking, because well, the rankings are the conventional rankings that we already know are quite fixed, or I don't know how to say it, but in some term, like at some point, it's kind of limited, just like you get a list and that's it. But the positive impact rating, which is going to give you the real situation, the health of your institution in terms of sustainability. So I would like also to recommend to plan in advance. This has helped us a lot. So start communicating as soon as you can, just like with meetings, presentations, but not only to like staff members, but also to the students. If you can hold an event to talk about circular economy, do it, because then you will kind of raise awareness among students. And in the end, this might result in more like a positive results in the positive impact rating, because students will be more critical and they will be more conscious. And finally, well, make sure it's very important to develop a strategy So just have a concrete vision of what you want to achieve, and try to give incentives, a way that we think that it would be very useful for you, like to guarantee that you're going to have a high participation, is to give student incentives, such as, I don't know, maybe you could do a raffle, and then they might get prizes or whatever if they participate. And finally, I just want to say that Oikos International is your best ally. So Esade will learn about curricular change due to Oikos International. We also learned many things from this movement and the positive impact rating itself from Oikos International. So at the end, they organize like many workshops, and they also can give you many guidelines or even contacts, and even like platforms such as Rethinking Economics that will help you a lot. So just to sum up, I just would like to highlight my main recommendation, and which is try to be flexible and try to find a solution which is more suitable for your institution. Again, there's not a universal solution. It's just like you have to adapt and try to be flexible and open. And of course, in case there's someone here trying to use the positive impact rating as a leverage of change, bear in mind that it's hard, that sometimes like the institution is going to be at least at the beginning a little bit reluctant to these changes, but in the end you should remember that you have like a lot of support, Oikos International and your whole association and whoever is working with you to move towards this direction and bring sustainability into the core of our education. Thank you very much, and I don't know if anyone has any question.
Thanks very much, Ingrid. Really fascinating to hear the journey of that kind of bottom-up approach of how an engaged group of students can really take something and make a difference. Did anybody have any questions? I think I saw a hand raised. Thomas, please go ahead.
Sorry for asking a question again. Thank you very much, Ingrid, and congratulations for taking your future into your own hands inside the school. Can you tell me or us how the positive impact rating, what role did it play in your community, in your discussions, and in the sustainability plan of the school, if it does?
Yes. Well, the positive impact rating was mainly a way to open their eyes. I mean, it was just like a tool to communicate them, and that students are concerned, that they care about their future, they care about sustainability, and that indeed there are like some things in our curricular that doesn't satisfy us at all. Like there's just like, well, some aspects that could be changed. What I think that the most important thing of the positive impact rating was not like just like the result we get, like the level 3 that we were, just more like the comments that students wrote in the survey. For instance, there was a comment that really caused it made like a big difference, which was, well, I can say it, I just remember it. It's just like, it's a shame that after a 4-year BBA degree, I've never heard the word of sustainability. So and I'm just highlighting this example because the idea was to tell them something that they already knew. So just like to confirm them that students are concerned about their futures, and that they see that sometimes their programs, like the institution's programs, may have some problems. But also, I just don't want to say that the sustainability plan was a consequence of the positive impact rating. So Esade has a huge team behind, so they have different units, such as the one of identity and mission, which is the one leading this initiative, and who was the one that created it. So it's just, of course, that we helped to foster this change, but without the help or the Esade's initiative, it wouldn't have been so easy, like, for us. So just like to sum up, I said very many things that it helped during the process, but of course it's key to have some support in your institution.
Super.
I think John may have just dropped off and had a few internet connection issues, but thanks so much, Ingrid, for sharing that. It was so insightful and great answer to Thomas's question as well.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to the next speaker, we're really excited to have Jay Christoph here from KEDGE Business School. I'd like to hand over to you to talk about how you've included the PIR in strategic planning.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, does it work? Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. I'm JC from KEDGE Business School in France. I'm based in Marseille. We are also in different campuses in France, in Bordeaux, in Paris. Mainly, I'm the CSR officer for now 13 years, and we have a sustainability strategy for now, 13 years. And I have a team. I'm lucky to have a marvelous team of 4 people working with me on that. And our role is really to spread sustainability and CSR in every single part of the school. And I will try to explain that. And I think more important for this meeting, try to explain how we're going to play with positive impact rating. And by the way, I'm one of the people who start and work and was deeply involved in the production and the creation of this new rating. So really happy to be here with you. Sorry. Okay. Can you see my screen full screen or not? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I won't go into details, and of course we have a sustainability report, so I can share everything. But for now, more than 10 years, we have a strategy based on different axes, which is everything touching strategy and governance, everything touching, of course, future research, then training and pedagogy, and of course the exemplarity of the school, green campus, and everything touching discrimination, gender, LGBT, everything like that. Research, we have, I don't know, 6 or 7, we've launched 6 or 7 research chair dedicated on those topics, circular economy, sustainable purchasing, etc. So I won't go into details. But one thing that we try to push, and it's probably why I love the positive impact rating, is to try to really have a systemic vision. We don't just want to be excellent somewhere, which actually we never reach that level, but we at least we don't want just to pursue excellence, but we really want to try to be coherent. It means, just to give you an example of what we are doing, it's when we are launching a research chair on sustainable purchasing, for instance, of course, it's going to touch research, but of course, it will impact the way how we teach the people we're going to bring into, invite into the course. But in this research chairs, we have invited the people from the purchasing department of the school Actually, we have a huge budget, so we spend lots of money, and we train the people in this department in order to try to walk the talk and try to be a line between what we teach, what we research, and what we do, which is, of course, never a success. It's always some few success, but we never get to the perfection for sure. But at least this is really the vision of the school. It's really excellence and coherence. When we build that, and I think it's important, when we build that, we really link this strategic plan to Global Compact, the Prime, where we are one of the founder of Global Prime, and by the way, engaging in Global Compact for years. I've launched ESI, the Higher Education Sustainability Initiative in Rio, the Rio +20. All the strategic plan is now is of course help us to answer questions from accrediting bodies, like of course the Chapter 9 in EQUIS, but even same for SCSB. And I was engaged a couple of years ago on the creation, I think in 2009, on the creation of a self-assessment matrix for IHED, covering all the whole institution approach, called the Plan Vert, which is now used by 100 schools, university in France, not only business school. And of course, all the strategies also align with the SDGs. We are deeply involved in the UN different networks. So we are really using the SDG as a kind of guideline, even if it's definitely not perfect. And I don't want to open the door for that discussion, but at least for the first time, we have the same framework for NGO, academics, corporation, and local community or government. So this is just to show that it's not something that we plan. We plan that with different networks, aligned with frameworks, and of course with the help of our students. Everything starts, by the way, 13 years ago, thanks to the push of the students. We have the biggest students organization in France worked on sustainable development. It's actually one of the biggest in the school, biggest association. So we are lucky to have a community quite engaged. And again, every year we do a survey. I've launched something called SUDI test, Wayne mentioned that, which is something now, it's a kind of TOEFL for sustainable development. Don't repeat that, but this is this kind of tool that we've launched with the support of UN, and it's now used by, I think, 170,000 people, students worldwide, available for everyone, by the way. But in that SUDI test, when we ask them to take the SUDI test, we have had a survey on what they expect and what they are looking for and what they want to be involved. And it's quite interesting because this score really evolved. And I think if you do the same kind of survey, you will, roughly speaking, have the same result. When I started the strategy a couple of years ago, I had 15% of the students who were aligned with what I tried to do. These people. Now it's 80%. We have a question which is not here. It's how do you think that sustainable development will help you? Is it to find a job, to do your job, and then your personal life? Between, I think, 79 and 95 and 85% of the students, the whole population, actually say it's going to be crucial or at least really important. Okay, so what I wanted to show here, and especially with linked to the positive impact rating, is our students, they are waiting, they're looking for honors on what we do, and it's quite interesting, not only on course, but on what we do on the campus, what they eat at the cafeteria, at the restaurant, what they are, how we manage the campus, etc., etc. So it's really on the research, etc. And so they are looking. They are really check and really asking about the whole or every unit of the school, and they are not only interesting on climate change, they are also really deeply interesting on social justice, etc., etc. And so I want to take the opportunity now to just explain you what we are currently doing, and please be nice with me because it's really a work in progress. We are finalizing the 2020 to 2025 strategic plan for the school, not only for sustainability. So what I'm going to show you right now, it's really something that some things have been done, something will be validated in a couple of days. Okay, we have to finalize everything in 2 weeks. But just to give you a few ideas of how we have used and how we will use the positive impact rating. First of all, I wanted to highlight the lesson, the few lessons that we received with the positive impact rating last year. First of all, it's a long journey. And to be honest, I'm really proud of many things that we have done, and we know that we have more to do. We know that it's a long journey, and things which was a marvelous couple of years ago actually didn't work. It doesn't work now. So we really have. We know that it's a tough job. The second thing, and that we discover or which was confirmed by the positive impact rating, is we have to better formalize things. We have to better explain things, try to, and not only for students, because what I think if we ask the positive impact rating to my staff, they will have exactly the same thing. Okay, they don't always see what we are doing, and something really important. People don't know what we are doing, and actually, it was the main lesson that I have from the positive impact rating. When I say they don't have a clue, actually, sometimes they can focus on details, which is normal. Okay, you can have a huge policy for waste, and if for any reason one day there is something which doesn't work, people will always remind that. Same thing for the screen. You forget to switch off a computer somewhere in the classroom. You know, people will always jump on incoherence. So it's why I think try to find, and they probably never find, but try to find the coherence. I think it's quite important. Incoherence costs a lot, I would like to say. And something else, and actually, which actually push, how would I say that? Shake me, was the fact that the school, and for the one who actually are engaged on that journey for a long time, you probably heard a few of the things that we have done. We are deeply engaged in working for the sector, you know, and people don't have a clue. Internally, people don't know what we are doing. As I say, we have launched AZ in Rio, the biggest self-contribution for the World Rio process. I'm the senior advisor of that. Nobody knows that. We have been involved in Prime. We are in JLI for years. 50+20. We've done. We worked with Thomas a couple of years ago on that for the PIR. We spent 1 week with the first group of people trying to think what should we do or if we want to retain the way how we assess things. I'm leading the French SDSN network. We give for free the Sully test for everyone, but none of my students, and sometimes none of my, or few of my staff know that we produce the Sully test. We have done that. And I think it's something which actually I don't have the full, and I think it's something that we should discuss. It's when you're working for the common good, or when you try at least to work for the common good, sometimes it's difficult because you don't have to. I try not to show off what we are doing, and one of the consequences is because we are not showing how good we are. people don't even know what we are doing, the basic thing, and they believe that people are doing better than us. So again, we have lots of things to improve, but I think one important thing that we are working on will be to better communicate, to better explain, train people, etc., etc. So what we have done, first of all, we start a discussion with the board of the school. Last June, we're supposed to have a big event in Marseille. So I've asked Catherine, who actually were leading person for the positive impact rating, to come, but actually it didn't work. So a couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting with all the board of the school, and John was able to present the PIR and try to explain how PIR is the relevant tool, and to analyze what we try to reach. And of course, that this tool is totally aligned with our vision, mission, and objective. And when I say that, I do think that we are trying to be a mission-driven organization. And when you are a mission-driven organization based on sustainability, or at least with high level of sustainability on it, you need to rethink cooperation and instead of competition. We are living in the business school where actually the only or the main thing that we are explaining to our students for years was competition. And most of the people on the board of the school, not in mine, but generally, they are competition driven. So we spend a lot of time to explain that this tool could be really, really relevant. And we managed to, with the new head of the school, and to say, okay, we are writing the new strategic plan for the school, and one of the key meta objectives will be the PIR score in the strategic plan. So it's not my KPI as the Sustainable Development Director, but it's a KPI of the school. From that, and it's something that we are working right now with the pilots, the people who are actually piloting different area on strategic axes, is really to not to redo everything, or not to destroy, not to come from scratch, but try to see how everything that we are doing now can be enriched thanks to the 3 axes of the positive impact rating. And actually, so again, this is something, it's really we are starting phase now, but I hope that in couple months or couple of years, we'll be able to share that. And last but not least, we start and we will dedicate resource on communication in order to improve that. So as I said, for the moment, KEDGE was level 3. So we had the plan to say, okay, let's be a level 5 in 2025, and then say, okay, let's start to have something which is ambitious but realistic, and then probably we will have a good news before that. But at least it's now something which is validated by what we call the Conseil d'Administration, the board of directors of the school. And then, so what they are doing now. So I have pilots. We have pilots for each axis. Okay, so people thinking about research, what could be the best. So in research, for instance, we are. One of the key elements that we are looking this year for the next 5 years is really how to increase the impact. We have probably one of the biggest CSR research center with, I don't know how many faculty working on that. So we are really good in academics paper, but how can these great things which actually came from the head can be useful for local community, for SME, for whatever, okay? So one of the key elements will definitely to be engaging more, and not only focusing on academic journal. And just to give you, just to give you few example of current thing that we have done or we are on the process of doing. And again, it's work in progress, but the board rewrote the VMO, the vision, mission, and objective last spring. And we have launched something called the Grand Récit, the great story, with, I think, something like 100, so 1 person out of 5 from the staff who actually try to explain the story behind the vision, mission, and objective. So try to have something which is not only, most of the time, you know, the vision and mission is something written by the head of communication, and nobody knows that. So we want that all the staff, and of course, and all the students, but at least first of all the staff, will understand why we are trying to reach is not only to be the first in or the number X on the Financial Times. Is really, this is what we want to achieve. So this Grand Récit will probably help us to spread the word. We rebrand the name of the CSR strategy, which is now called KEDGE Impact, focusing really on impacts. It's really great to have action that actually does it work, you know, how much energy we spend here and what is the result. When we launched the strategy 13 years ago, we start by having some people called CSR officer in every single department. And actually, of course, the school now is bigger. It's, you know, so we had for the last 3 years CSR officer, but really focus on one specific topic. For instance, gender, disability, wellness, and then slowly by slowly we start to have this global action with an organization where we can have this systemic vision. Actually, to be honest, my department was probably the only one to have this systemic vision. And I think it's one of the weaknesses of what we're doing. So we've launched last July an impactor network. And we are working, again, I didn't mention that, we have created a specific team with 10 people, out of which we have 2 students, who actually are finalizing now the strategic plan for the school, for our topic, and we have this communication plan. If we try to see, so this is really for what we few ideas that came from the Energizing thing. For educating, we will start a huge HR project, which is really to highlight success and train people. So we'll have to train people. When I say people, is staff for the moment. For this is a HR thing. And so we will have a plan for the next couple of years to be sure that all our staff, from the boss to the people, anywhere, are able to understand the big challenges, and of course some solutions, and try to and actually it came. It's definitely linked to the Grand Récit I told you about. And then something important, I think it's going to be a huge work, is try to work for every single staff. So we have more than 500 people, okay? So it starts to be something. It's not a big thing, but at least it's something. So we will have to work with HR department to transfer the VMO into concrete KPI for every single person. What does it mean when I'm the head of the internationalization of the school? What does it mean when I'm the head of corporate relationship, etc., etc.? So this is for HR. Specifically, we have launched something, I don't know if you've seen that, but I will share that also, with UNEP, SDSN, and SDG Academy. It's a self-assessment matrix to embed sustainability in teaching. Roughly speaking, I'm a marketing professor, I'm a finance professor, I'm a whatever professor. what are the impact of my course into the SDG? Is my course aligned? When I teach something, is it good or bad, or what is good, what is bad for all the SDGs? And really, the systemic. That's why I spoke about the SDG as our core matrix, is because we really want to touch not only the climate, of course, but social aspects, etc. So this is something that we closed the survey last Monday. So we will see, we have the first draft matrix, and we will launch that. So we have all our faculty will have to do it in the next couple months or year. We will have the same kind of work, not for a program, not for faculty, but for a program, sorry. Okay, and try to see how far or yeah, again, it's always a question of impact. What is my impact of the student experience, okay, during when you arrive and she'll arrive and leave? Are we sure that we are giving them something which actually will help him to be a responsible manager or responsible leader, or whatever the name you want to put it? We have different other projects linked to education. Of course, our business school, but like any business school, we have lots of and really strong relationship with corporation. So a couple of years ago, we have done work that again, please send me email. I will share that, or I can send to John, and he can share that. We have done something with Deloitte about shall we accept the money from anyone? Okay, it's as a corporation, shall we sign a partnership with anyone? So I think we have a process which is definitely not the Bible, and this is not the truth, but at least it could be useful. So we will use that to rethink the way how we interact with corporation. And last but not least, we are working for the one who knows Leadingedge. Leadingedge is not a certificate. Leadingedge is more it's a training tool as of today. So we will launch a certification in the next. We are deeply working on that project. And in engaging, to be honest, again, nobody is perfect. But I think with that, we are doing a lot on that specific thing. But we, as I said previously, we are not good to communicate. So it's really, really, really to explain what we are doing. And just, again, explaining it, of course, to show. So I will show you just one thing. This is a thing of which will be launched in a couple days. So for every single big challenges, we will try to see the link between. So here you have the business nursery, and then you have social access for disabled for people who are actually are not in a rich area, but you have something for poverty, you have something for research, etc., etc. So try to do that, and of course in terms of organization, as I said, I think it's one of the key things. Again, I'm so lucky, and I know that I'm lucky to have a dedicated team. So we are working here on the strategy, and we are this KEDGE Impact team, the 10 people I told you about. Then we will have the network, the KEDGE Impact ambassador, okay, people who actually have two responsibility, bringing new ideas and be active, and then of course to spread the strategy into their own department or own association for students, for instance. And then after that, we have all the project that we do, like you, in could be a chair, could be whatever, all those projects. And I think I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jean-Christophe. Really interesting presentation, and I'm glad to say I'm back after a slight crash of my computer there. Yeah, really great. I guess a first kickoff question from me, similar to the question that Thomas asked of Antwerp, was just where do the students fit into particularly those strategic elements you just showed actually in that last slide. I'm thinking just also in line with Ingrid's presentation about how Oikos Barcelona, for example, were part of the task force for curricular review. Do students fit into those strategic working groups that you just mentioned there, for example?
But to be honest, as I said, the two biggest student organization, a student association, are on sustainability. Okay, so they are the one who actually will be the contact point for the PIR. Okay, who actually were last year the contact point for the PIR, and the two presidents. And I say two. We have two organizations because one is in the two major campuses, Marseille and Bordeaux. Okay, we have other campuses and even in China, but the two major campuses are in those two cities. So we have the president of one and the other one, who are the two students who actually are not here just to discuss. They again, it's the beginning of the process, but their role is to really push things, to really write the strategy, to really work with us. And what I expect, and last year, I don't know, Thomas, you told me how many people reply last year, but I was disappointed. We have 15,000 students. We should have, I would love to have at least 1,000 people replying this year. And because I think one of the key thing, and especially if we want to be sure that for two things, we want to be sure that we are not just touching the happy clappy people, the people who actually are activists. You know, I think it's important to touch as many people as we can. Okay, so we're gonna have an email from the boss of the school saying it's important. Please evaluate us. Then please give us a feedback through positive feedback rating. This is the first thing. And the other thing I forgot. And the other thing is 100 people or 200 or 300 people. That's really great for the first year, but this is not serious compared to big ranking. So we have to be sure that we have to push that as much as we can. Again, I think it could be easier for us and it will be easier for us if we are able to actually give a feedback to the students, because with this new organization, it's going to be easier to have a discussion. Okay, the community has said that we are not good here. What can we do? So we're going to use the PIR as a discussion tool. One of the is definitely not the only one, but we will use positive feedback rating score for that. I'm just afraid with this year to be totally transparent, because with the COVID, I don't know if I'm the only one, but this is the big mess. Okay, and I don't know how students can really judge the quality of what we are doing by staying at home. Again, I think it's going to be something. I'm quite curious about the result this year, but yeah. So this is one thing. We try to plug the students from the beginning and during the whole process.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jean-Christophe. A nice note to maybe just to start to open up the discussion a bit more. So we have time for a more general question and answer session with the panelists and the presenters and others from the PIR team who are in the call. Thomas has his hand up, so I'm going to let him lead on this. And please, Thomas, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Jean-Christophe. Your presentation and what you've been doing at KEDGE makes me really happy, because you're using the potential of PIR at its best, I would say. That's what we created it for. We created this dashboard for the students to check on the results, and we make it available to the school management to use the data. And that's what we were hoping for, that the data gets used. And if you put it into your strategy, I mean, this is unbelievable. Congratulations. And I will certainly follow you how this works out and what you learn about it. But good luck and all the best. And if we can be of any help, call us.
Thank you.
So we had a nice comment from Dr. Singal in the chat about this common problem that often students and staff are not always fully aware of what the good work of an institute. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jean-Christophe, you mentioned there, communication is so important, and I think the other presentations alluded to the same thing. Perhaps any of the panelists or anyone has any words of advice on that side of things?
Again, not an advice, because I'm not good on that. Okay, but at least just a feeling. sometimes when even if you try, you know, if you're doing it because you are really deeply engaged, and you do what you can with the way how you do it, it means that you don't leave the room for other people to be there. And I realized that last year with the COVID, for personal reasons, I was not able to do things. And then I realized that people have done, wow, many things. And I think we have to communicate. We have to give the framework. We have to help people to understand and to be able to do their stuff. But we need to leave the room. We need to leave place. You know, I hope that next year I won't be the one who's going to explain how we succeeded or we failed. And I think it's important. It's always Jesse who is going to the UN. It's always Jesse who is doing that, and that. For any reason, and good and bad reason. But I think it's one of the things that I've learned with that. It's thanks to this new organization. One of the things that we for the last point for engaging. No, what is the last axis for peer? I forgot the name. It's engaging. Yes,
Engaging.
Engaging. Thank you. For engaging, one of the key indicators that we are working with the research, as I say, is how you touch SMEs or local community. This is one thing. But how you speak in a newspaper. So I won't be the only one who actually is interviewed right now. And how you can be engaged in networks who actually are changing the system. For instance, the French government have launched something, a French law on circular economy. It's not my role to be here. I can start the thing because I was invited. I can bring someone, and I need to bring someone, and we should share the power, actually.
Thanks, Jean-Christophe. Any further reflections on Jean-Christophe's comments? And anyone else in the call, do feel free to unmute yourselves and add any advice or enlightened thoughts on this. Thomas, please go ahead. I can't see everybody, unfortunately, on my screen. So if anyone has any comments, please just jump in.
Okay, I can have a question. It's do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm Ann-Christine Kullish from BI in Norway. We are not participating at the moment, but are considering. There are pros and cons, and we're considering both the methodology. How do you select students? I just wrote the question about that. This random selection, and how do you make sure that if you have actually random selection of students and not speaking to the choir, or only really dissatisfied or satisfied students responding? That's one side. You know, we have some questions about the methodology on the selection. And another question that we are thinking about is, what if you score low? What's the potential downside reputation-wise? Because it is communicated externally. You say it's not a rating, it's for development purpose, but it is perceived as well as a ranking, even if you don't intend it to be. You say it could be a tool for students to choose where to study, so it will be a marketing tool if you score well. But what if you don't score well? If you score on a 1 or 2, the lowest scale. So what are your advice or takes on that, either from the schools who are in or from any of you?
I think, Thomas, you had your hand up there, so please go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm happy to respond to this. 2 very good questions. The first one, selection of students. The answer is try to have as broad and as diverse a student body that you can get. We had the discussion after the first round, if there is a selection bias in this program, and there certainly is a selection bias if you channel the questionnaire through sustainability professors or through sustainability professionals like Jean-Christophe. But we had a very heated debate in Davos where we launched the first results at the Dean's Dialogue, and there were 2 different positions opposing each other, with one position saying even if you have a selection bias and get the more aware students through the sustainability organizations, it's not clear at all if their answers, if their results will be more positive or more negative, because there are arguments for both perspectives. Sustainability-minded students could be very favorable of everything the school is doing in the sustainability space. On the other hand, they could be very critical also, because their level of expectation is much higher than the level of expectation of the regular students. So we did one thing. We won over Guelph Business School in Canada, and they currently started a research study on selection bias. So they do a controlled study where they they channel the questionnaire through sustainability student organizations. And on the other hand, they channel the questionnaire through regular student organizations, like in the marketing or in the finance field, and then compare the results. This study is underway. We don't have the results yet. They will be available early next year. And we're curious to find out ourselves. But the answer, as far as I'm concerned, and ex ante, is not clear at all. The second question, if there is a downside, if you are not ranked among the best, we have one rule within PIR. We only communicate the 3 top groups. So level 5, level 4, and level 3. We don't communicate schools that are ranked on level 1 or 2. Exactly because of your fear. We don't want to punish the poor schools, but we want to celebrate the good schools. That's our philosophy.
Thank you, Thomas. And Kristin, did that answer your questions?
Yes, it did. It's a bit reassuring that they're not that downside of getting on the lower end. But will it be visible that you actually have participated if you are not scoring and then not on the scoring lists, no, you're not on the results list?
We had experience for the first year, and we did mention all the schools that were that reached the minimum number of responses. In the first year, this level was fairly low. We accepted all schools that ended up with more than 30 responses. We are sure and we are positive that this will be a lot higher next year, this coming round, because more schools will be participating. And we do publish a list of all the schools that were participating, that had more than 30 responses. And then we publish a list of schools that were ranked in the top 3 levels. So yes, to some extent, no, sorry, I have to correct myself. We did communicate all schools participating in the rating, even if they didn't reach the 30 responses, especially to prevent this guessing possibility that you then could go out and look for all the participating schools, deduct the schools that were ranked in the top levels, and then you end up with the poor performers. That's in order to prevent this. We included all schools that were participating in the rating. So you don't know in the end if they didn't have enough answers to be included in the rating at all, or if they were included and didn't make it to the top ranks. That is something that only the relevant school that knows their data can answer for itself.
Thanks, Thomas. Maria from IADA, you had your hand up, please.
Yes, very, very briefly, following on Kristin's questions, nice to see you. This year, so technically participants that are more into sustainability topics or that come from masters that have that specialization, of course, they will be keen to answer and will be more critical because they hold you up to higher standards, way higher standards. But this year, and this is something actually new that we created after the PIR rating, we have both the sustainability club and the consulting club of the school, which is more broad, and they will be both leading to get the answers. However, JC, I think this is a brilliant idea to have our new dean actually send an email to everyone saying this is open, please fill out the questionnaires, because of course getting more answers, it's key. The broader, the better. And concerning the reputation, and this is something I'm actually wondering how we will score this year. Well, what will be the students' perception this year with COVID and after being public, let's say, for the first year as part of the transforming school. So I think now their standards and expectations are much higher, and they will hold us accountable to much higher standards. But I think the gesture of exposing your school, I think, communicates a lot to participants. If you are willing to have them assess you in this, it's already, I think, a sign that the school wants to commit to more responsible management, wants to improve. So I think it's never, even regardless of your score, I think it's never against your reputation, but something that you're showing your participants that you're willing to become part of the transformation and you're committed to it. Of course, it has the risk of, depending on how they perceived you, and this year we'll see exactly with the whole COVID situation, how engaged they felt on that. So I just wanted to comment that, because of course it's something that we're taking into account this year and considering, okay, how this will come out and how should we react to it. But I think we see it more on the positive side than on the negative side. And again, with Dr. Singal's question on how do you deal with communicating or transmitting more to participants that you're engaging in all this? It's difficult. To us, it's difficult too, because especially the experience of our participants, it's packed in just very few months, and there's no handover between cohorts in the school. So it's very difficult to give them a lot of inputs in a very short time. Their experience is very full. But, and this is part of my role, I co-lead the clubs and the extracurricular initiatives with them. So I establish a lot of conversations with them. And something I do, it's tell us what's going on in your heads, what interests you and that you would like to discuss and that you're not seeing in class, or that you would like to have more input in. And for example, this summer, we held an extended program with extracurricular events, and quite like an important part of those events and seminars that we held were actually requests from the students. Okay, we want to see how supply chains have been impacted by COVID, or we want to see why the school hasn't positioned itself with the Black Lives Matter movement. What's about that? What's the impact on brands? How do we deal? So we leave the space for them to request content sessions or inputs from academics. And I think that's a way of them becoming aware that we also work these topics. Perhaps we don't have the time to give it all, fit it all in the curriculum, but that they have a space to discuss around these topics or to request things that they wish the school would provide to them. And that's about it. Those were my inputs.
Wonderful, thank you, Maria. I think Thomas, you wanted just to respond there?
But if there are other, yes, I would like to say something. Hi, Maria, nice to see you. Let me respond to two of the things that you mentioned. What we would suggest is if you can approach your student union. It may be a bit different from one school to the other, but some schools have were very successful in asking the student union to run the questionnaire. So this assures that you really have a broad representation of the different programs in your school. But otherwise, just try to be as broad as you can. The second thing, let me just pick up the suggestion the president of the school could send a letter to the students to encourage them to participate. Let me just raise a finger. To remind you, we had these issues in the traditional rankings, you may be aware of this, where the presidents approached the answering student or whoever was answering and reminded them that they shouldn't forget when they answer that they are talking for the school and that they are playing with the reputation of the school. And this clearly would not be fair play. That's why in signing up for the PIR, we included a part where the dean or the person that signs up for the school has to commit to respecting the integrity of the student voice. This is really part of the fairness. We have this problem with all the rankings, but otherwise, I mean, the data wouldn't be helpful for you yourself if you try to trick the system. I'm not suggesting that you do this, but I just want to raise this voice and make it very, very transparent.
Jean-Christophe, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, Thomas, just one thing coming to Maria's comment also. I was wondering, because we don't have the list of the people who replied last year. Some of them probably have left the school because it was the last year of the program, but some of them are still here. And I was wondering if we can organize, and I don't know, and probably we have to brainstorm with you and John, how can we touch those people? Because actually it could be also interesting to at least be sure that the people who applied last year actually can give a feedback this year. And I don't know, I think it could be a shame if we lose that. So I don't know how to do that, but probably when again, a few of them won't be here anymore, but if you could, because I think you have the email of them, if you could send them as soon as you know that we've launched the survey, okay, that my school has launched the survey, if you can send an email by saying last year you were nice enough to do that, it's important, your school is still committed, please do it and spread the word. So it could be another way also to touch people and not restart from scratch every year. I don't know if it's feasible or if it's stupid, but actually just an idea.
If I can respond directly, we cannot do it and we don't want to do it, to be very clear about it. We don't have access to the emails for a good reason, because that shouldn't be available, because the answers are anonymous and they should remain anonymous. I'm afraid I probably don't have a good answer for you.
Please, Jesse.
Yeah, sorry, no, Maria, I know that you want to speak also. Yes, but probably for the future, imagine if we ask people, it could be an anonymous answer, but if you want to be in touch when we're going to produce the report, if it's something that the students actually want to be informed by the results, so it could work. I think the RDDP, whatever the name is, the data stuff can work. Probably, I don't know if it's feasible for this year, but just to add something if you want, and would you like to receive the feedback and then another info, would you like to be part of the next survey, whatever, but at least I think it's just a shame to lose that material. Again, for last year it's too late, but probably try to see if something is feasible. And I stop.
Please, Maria, you were unmuted there.
Oh no, just adding on this. I think it's. I thought that part of the PIR plans was to also expand to alumni, perhaps, so they could see the evolution of the school. I was connecting with JC's comments if that was in the plans, like expanding the survey to alumni. Regardless of you guys having the emails and sending them the report, I think it is interesting, though, as a school, when the new results come back, that you communicate also to the previous cohort, hey, this is how we scored, this is our evolution, or this is or how we have improved based on the feedback that you gave us on the first year. And so this is how we've done this on the second year. But I would say that gives you another chance to re-engage from the school, not necessarily from the peer impact rating with the alumni. So it's, I think it's a nice initiative, especially so they see that you have committed to the feedback that they gave you in the past. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, that's a very nice idea, Maria. And I mean, Thomas can correct me if I'm wrong here, but we do also at some point in future editions do plan to expand the stakeholder base as well of the survey, but not this year, but in future editions, we will be looking at that option as well. Okay, I'm conscious of time. I'm sure we could speak for another hour on this. It's great to have such an engaged group of people together who are really passionate about the positive impact rating. But unfortunately, just for time, I think we'll have to leave it here. Of course, if anyone wants to follow up with myself or anyone else from the PIR team, you can get in touch with either myself at john.watt@positiveimpactrating.org or info@positiveimpactrating.org, and we can follow up with any other questions. Lastly, just a massive thank you to all the panelists and the presenters, to Wayne, to JC, and to Ingrid, as well as Thomas, for all taking your time. And of course, thank you to you, everyone here as well, for taking the time this afternoon and whatever time of day it is in your location to join us for this. And yeah, we look forward to a great participation this year in the PIR, and of course, hopefully some future events where we can all connect and continue these dialogue and knowledge sharings. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks very much.